What's up everybody, Sunkissed here, and in today's video we're going to be reviewing the Cauterizer. It is a named legendary 4-star chainsaw that you can get from doing the Gleaming Depths raids. We're going to see how this performs against the auto axe and review its unique effects. Right away though, I'll tell you, I think it's the coolest looking auto melee weapon that we have. Anyways, if you enjoy the video, definitely hit that like button and sub for future content. See you at the end. Taking a look at the actual weapon itself here. For legendary effects, it is a vampire's plus 50% critical damage, plus 15 VATS crit charge, and plus 10% damage for each combat target around you up to 50%. Some other effects, it has an additional AP cost of 25, so the actual opposite of what you'd want, and the durability is down a bit. But we do get a nice little bonus there of plus 5 armor penetration, which is unique to this. As you can see, we have ballistic damage, fire damage, bleed damage added with the longbow bar, and then burn damage of 166 per 3 seconds. So you can't equip any mods to it, really, aside from the bow bar and the longbow bar. You cannot equip the dual bar, which I will get to that in a little bit, but I think you should be able to make this kind of more viable, to be honest here. On paper, though, those stats look really good. That damage over time, that kind of stacks up there. I mean, you don't really notice that too much, and even if you would, you're not going to see it until you're attacking tankier enemies. But let's talk about the legendary effects quick here, because I think it's kind of interesting, the ones that they put on it. So I tested it. The critical damage is working. I know sometimes it's kind of buggy with auto melees, but from what I could test, it seemed like it was working properly, as well as the crit charge. Now, where this kind of goes wrong is that auto melee is just in general not very good to use inside VATS. It's kind of buggy and it's clunky. I think it's just slower than just manually aiming the chainsaw yourself. And the 4-star is kind of contradictory to what you'd want, because you're getting bonus damage when there's targets around you. So theoretically, you would want that bonus damage, more so when you're fighting a tankier enemy, because you don't really need that to kill mobs. They die pretty easily. But if you leave combats around you while you're trying to fight a tanky enemy, they could hit you and stagger you, which causes a glitch in VATS. So the legendary effects on this thing are kind of very counterintuitive, if I'm being honest. But, if you just want it for the plus 5 armor penetration and the vampires, I mean, it's definitely a good way to get that. Another good thing you could use this for, if you get the plans, would be to scrap and get any of those mods. I mean, vampires on its own, crit damage on its own, and 15 fast crit charge on its own are all really good effects. So if you get the plan, definitely craft it and scrap them. The other reason why you'd use this weapon, I mean, just look at it. It looks absolutely sick. I mean, I am going to kind of daily this as my auto melee weapon, knowing it's not as powerful as the auto axe, which we'll get to in a little bit, but it looks damn cool, and I can't deny that. So let's take a look at our class. Here's the special stats if you want to copy it at all. Taking a look at our legendary perks. Funky Duds, Strength, Intelligence, Electric Absorption. This is just my raid running legendary perks. I haven't really kind of changed this. Now, theoretically, you could run Hack and Slash, since this is meant to be used in VATS, but I wouldn't really recommend that, as it kind of makes your game dip frames, and also it's just kind of buggy in VATS regardless. Here is the look at the perk cards. Pretty standard here. Got a bunch of perk cards for two-handed melee weapons. So they got the Slugger perk cards of various ranks, mostly maxed out. Got Incisor there maxed out. And Traveling Pharmacy for extra food buffs. So now with the built-in effect of the weapon being an extra 5% armor penetration, our armor penetration is up to 80%. Just got some refractor on there for increasing some resistance for that. Concentrated fire, just in case we need to target a specific limb for something here. Over here, respect pretty much for a melee build. Key callouts are going to be radical since I'm running bloodied. Starch genes to buff our mutations. And what else is important? Got Tenderizer for more damage here. Nerd Rage for more damage. Dodgy to be a little bit more tanky. Bloody Mess, better criticals, which that definitely helps the damage in VATS, but again, not the most ideal way to use it. And then I usually run Ricochet, but for the purposes of testing and just showing off the weapon, we're not going to be running Ricochet for the video here. Good thing you can run in its place if you don't need tankiness. Run Curator to extend your baubles and magazines, and then you could run buffs for that. Armor, as most melee builds go, unyielding. Definitely want a full set of unyielding to get our strength as high as possible. I just personally have a set of civil engineering armor to get the bonus of weapon degradation slowing down. So with that being said, let's go test the weapon's performance, and I'll kind of give you a snapshot of the buffs that I'll be running. One thing that I wanted to touch on pretty quick, though, before I forget. The thing that really kind of is a knock against this is that not necessarily crit damage being a terrible second star, but you can't re-roll this weapon, and the ability to not put power attack damage on the Cauterizer just kind of really handicaps it. In addition to the way that Pounders is working right now, not having Pounders on auto melee is severely holding it back in terms of its potential. Now, I think a good way to buff this in the future, if that's something that the devs would want to do, would 1, allow the dual bar, and 2, either change the 50 crit to 40 power attack, or let us change the legendary effects on this. So we are in West Tech now to test out the weapon. I just wanted to give a kind of quick snapshot of our buffs here. We have a melee bobblehead and a Grognek, the Barbarian 4, to buff our melee crit damage, just because I want to give the VAT side of this the best chance to succeed that it has there. Also going down to the food, Steeped Thistle Tea for extra crit damage there. This could be higher, and there's other ways to buff crit damage, especially if you're an herbivore, but I am not. Still think that being a carnivore definitely is on the better side for melee. Deathclaw Steak to buff our strength by 5, and a Tasty Mutant Hound Stew to buff our melee damage by 213% there. So let's try and use this weapon just without VATS first, and then we'll come back around and try it again with VATS. So we're getting 158 on weak spots for them. Let's see what we get for, okay, so he's legendary, so let's see how much dot it will do here. So kind of slow enough to get me killed there. Oh boy. But yeah, the dot is really not adding too much. Again, like I said, you probably would see more benefits from that on a tankier enemy kind of over time, but another thing to note, I'm not running Ricochet right now. I switched that out for Curator, just for, I don't want that to interfere with the tests. Okay, 145 weak spot on that one there. Now let's just try to get in the torso. Like mid 110s, it looks like. Let's try again on the weak spot. 147. 156 there. 157. Alright. Well, let's give VATS a try with that as well now. So I was getting 260 there. 178. So it is doing more damage than it was outside of VATS, even with me targeting the weak spot. The issue is that just VATS can just be buggy sometimes, and it just takes longer. Like, I'm pressing RT right now, and it's you know, it's super slow. So 226, yeah, I mean, it's definitely doing more damage inside of VATS with all the buffs that I have going on, but I feel like it's so much faster to just, like, aim for the weak spot and just move on with it. I don't know. So yeah, let's come back around with the auto axe and see kind of what the difference is. Just before I forget, since we're comparing stuff here, here's the rolls that I have on my auto axe. It's a vampire's power attack, less damage taken while power attacking, and I have pounders on there. I could be doing more damage if I had +3 strength, but that's just what I have on here. So they both are vampires auto melee weapons, so I guess they're kind of close to compare. The argument could be made I should be testing them with the same exact legendary effects, but that doesn't make sense. Why would you put those legendary effects on auto axe when you can put whatever you want on it? So that's what we're going to use to test. All right, now we're going to come back around with the auto axe, see how we do. Yeah, I mean, immediately we're just doing almost double the damage, or if not more than that. Yeah, I mean, we're hitting 400 on weak spots, and we were hitting like sub 200s almost. So let's, we've got a challenge on there, nice. I mean, I guess I will say one thing is the Cauterizer is definitely a lot less obstructive in terms of first-person view, so it is a little easier to target the weak spot, but I don't think it would really be worth the trade-off for that. Yeah, 411 on weak spots. We're, yeah, definitely doing quite a bit more with the auto axe here. Let's try VATS to give that a comparison here. Yeah, 423. What is a regular one? So that's like 402-ish. And what does a crit do? Didn't really make much of a difference on that, so... Yeah, right now it's looking like the auto axe is still winning out here, but let's go test this on a Mirelurk Queen and see what that looks like. All right, we got a level 100 Mirelurk Queen, so we're gonna use this as the weapon was, I guess, intended to. We're gonna try VATS, and then we'll see, you know, just manually aiming with the auto axe and kind of compare the difference. So let's see how we do here. So it's doing 97. The crit, yeah, the crit stopped working there. It just stayed pinned at 97. I think the crit kind of only works in like the initial few hits, if I'm being honest. But yeah, so 97 in VATS, holding the crit down. Didn't really seem to be doing too much. But let's go manual aim and try to target the legs. See if that makes any sort of difference. Did Nerd Rage go ahead and... It did not. Okay, let's take some glowing blood. There we go. Alright, let's see if we can't hit a stim pack right away. Can't really do that, actually. Oh, don't leave me alone, please. Okay, yeah, so we're actually doing considerably less damage in... Okay, we're doing decent bit less damage outside of that, so maybe that is the way to use it, but let's compare that to the auto axe and kind of see what the real difference is here. All right, that took forever to finally find a server that had a level 100 Mirelurk Queen, but we have her very angry and outside there, so we're hiding in a closet at the moment, but let's go fight her now and see what the auto axe does comparatively. Yeah, not even really close, if we're being honest. So let's go talk. All right, final thoughts. Definitely think the Auto X is still on top. I think this weapon could use a few changes. One of those would be allowing the dual bar to be put on here. I think that could really help it compete with the Auto Axe, as well as either changing the legendary effects that are on it or letting us re-roll slash change the effects ourselves. I think something like this would make more sense to have the Pyromaniac or Pyromancer effect on it, which that one I believe increases damage by 50% when the target's on fire. So I think that would be a pretty cool one to include with this. That would have really good synergy with the built-in fire damage that this has and could help it definitely compete. Still maintain that this is the best looking and the coolest auto melee weapon. So for that reason alone, I'm going to keep running it. But if all you're looking for is straight up damage output and DPS, the auto axe is still king and on top. That'll do it for today's video though. Thanks for making it to the end. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Hit that like button, subscribe, and have a good one.